Alright, so we are live. Okay, fine. Alright, okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Welcome to the debrief. As usual, we're just going to take a couple of minutes to share our links. Let our people know that we are on. We ask that you also share the link with your people, and so we can begin as well. All right. Today we have Fabian Sargeant, founder and president of MENS, Men Empowerment Network Services. Support, and Mr. Kwame Bradshaw, who is the PRO of MENS. So just give us a few while we share. We ask that you also share the link as well.
That group?
Yeah, I can send it. Fabian, you have thing, right? I just say I'm gonna say. Alright, I just sent the password. Alright. So we just want to welcome everyone joining, and just bear with us while we share the link, and we're asking you as well to go ahead and share the link with your people so we can have the viewership. We can have an interactive discussion, an enjoyable one as well. So we're asking you to share the link, but also bear with us while we share it out as well. If you haven't liked the page, please like the page, and remember that we come to you every Wednesday and every Saturday live and discuss the issues of that are affecting us as a society. So we're asking you just to share. So I'm going to share to the group. So give me 1 second.
They're not showing all things.
I'm pretty good.
They're not showing alias.
Alright. So again, good night and welcome to all the persons that are now tuning in. And we're on the DeBrief talk show. And we're just sharing the links to some of the pages that we have on people that are waiting to watch the show. So just bear with us while we share. If you're experiencing any technical difficulties as well, let us know so that we can address all technical difficulties. As I said, tonight we're here with Fabian Sargeant, who is representing MENS, which is put the phone on. Somebody's wanting to turn it on. I get feedback, right?
That's yours.
That's your favorite. So we are here with Fabian Sargeant and Kwame Bradshaw from MENS. Fabian is the president and founder of MENS, Men Education Network Support. Empowerment. Sorry.
Men Empowerment Network Support.
And also Kwame, who is the PRO. And I'm your host, Kimar Safri. And here with me as well is German Beckford on the far left.
Yeah, sure.
Right, sure. And Mr. Damani Small. And today we'll be discussing a number of issues as it relates to men. This is a very ticklish issue to be discussing because it's not a subject matter that is frequently discussed as it relates to men. We've always had talks on women, women rights, and a number of things about women, but hardly we've ever had a show or anybody really focus on men and how men feel. And you can see that the panel is fully made up of men today, right? And it's Men Week. No, it's Men Week as well, right? International Men's Week. So it's good to be focusing on the men. So we ask you that you will share the link with us, share the link with your people, get some men that will be interested in this conversation. We're going to be having a heated conversation with all of this topic as men. And I'm going to pass over to Fabian Sargeant to tell us what MENS is all about, and so we can have a discussion. Over to you, Fabian. Thank you for coming.
Yes, man. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to represent men in Barbados. Now, earlier this year, I started doing some work with men within different agencies, and a number of activities happened throughout the year that pushed me in the direction to say that it is time. It is time that we really get together and do something for men in Barbados. There are numerous groups for women and young girls, and there's nothing much for men. The few ones that I have for men, especially I like to point out, let's say the Boy Scouts for the younger boys. You have female leaders, so that is not even a male-dominated group. So we think that it was necessary to pull together some like-minded persons and put it in the public domain. I thought that men were having some challenges with coping with society in general, whether it be relationships, whether it be the challenges with access to their children, whether it be even their own emotional well-being, dealing with their own emotion. A lot of men would have suffered traumatic experiences in their youth and would have had a number of things that they didn't deal with while they were growing up in their teenage years. They didn't see counseling, they didn't talk to anybody, and culturally men are a bunch that usually keep things within, and then a lot of that manifests itself in their adulthood, where they then have challenges with their relationships. They probably take it out on their children. They have issues at work. Some persons end up using substances, and then you don't even have to talk about the crime situation. The prison alone have over 700 men versus just about 30 females.
You sure what I
I have the exact figure I have the exact figure.
thought it was more than 9 prisons.
I have the
Prison women law.
Convicted and on remand. There's
Yeah.
the differentiate between the two.
So-
But how many men in total?
So the total amount of men is 735 males
These
and
are
28
convicted or remanded?
females. I don't know if it's convicted or remanded, but I
German,
probably convicted.
German,
But you see, sometimes
No, the reason why I ask is because I know usually people say the prison population in
Germany,
where everyone
yeah.
hovers around 1,000.
German.
1,000.
Yeah,
But the point is,
numbers?
No.
but the thing about it is that we can stand and quarrel about the numbers. The reality is that the prison is dominated by men. That is the point,
Yeah.
right? The psychiatric hospital, 2/3 of that population, men. If you look at Verdun House versus Marina House, if you look at all the other organizations,
Even the Homeless
I
Society.
Look at the Vegas and Homeless Society. Look at Roger Husbands and drug
Education for Counseling Services. DEX.
Look at Corey Lane's Nature Fund Ranch in terms of young boys reaching out for assistance.
Yeah.
You can see all across
Sean Clark, all
where
the
there's a need for men. There's a challenge where not only men but young boys. So these young boys will eventually become men.
Yeah.
And we if we look at all the programs, substance abuse, and we can even stretch it a little further and go to schools and see majority of the challenges that schools are experiencing are with young boys. We needed to be reactive, but reactive in a responsible way. Some persons usually speak about being proactive. We are being proactive, but also being reactive because we need to respond to the needs of society. Needs come up, and we have to be very responsible in how we respond to these needs. Hence, the group came together, and since the group was started on the 24th of August, some may think that we moved slow, but I think we would have done a lot. We have a lot of meetings. A lot of meetings. We have planning meetings. Yeah, we selected an executive. Plus we have the general chat, and then in my work with young people, getting the word out there, and those young people are reaching out. Those young men who need assistance are reaching out to the group. You have the older ones. But what I must say is that I think we have a good variety.
Yeah.
Between young, the not so let me say the young, the older young. You understand?
More mature.
The then more mature, you know. So we have a very good mix, and the group really would like to target the young men. When I say young men, I say
A question, you're all registered charity or?
yeah, we are going through registration.
Okay.
Now.
So you're going to be a registered charity?
Yes. We're going to a charitable organization.
I hear.
But in order we're actually in the process of formalizing everything, you know.
Yeah.
So we've hit the ground running.
So that just to show the viewers that it is going to be, it's not just a group of men, but it's an organization set up for men.
Correct.
That is a structured organization,
Correct.
which is key.
Full structure. As I said, we have an executive. So there were some persons who put us to the challenge and so in the last 6 months. When
Were these persons with me?
you know, I can't
Try to get me in trouble.
No, I know a lot of females, and this is not me being combative or bashing females, but I don't think it is within the interest of females at times to see men succeed. Certain females.
You see, I ain't want to touch that.
Why would touch it?
You want to set me up this is But while you are on that point, I would like to say this in 100 size font, bold, underlined, highlighted, however you want to put this to make it big that everybody can see it, is that we are in no way fighting with women.
Yeah.
We are in no way seeing ourselves as better than women.
But they're fighting with us in society.
Right. I will tell you this. If they want to fight, let them fight. But we are in no way fighting. Our role as Men Empowerment Network support is to empower men.
To be better men for the women.
Is to be better men. And every man.
So wait, you are going better men because if they want better men for yourself.
So listen.
Yeah, but
so I would say better men because one of the core things that we really like,
women.
But one of the core things that we like to develop is families. We like to see a stronger family networks.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay? And if we are going to see stronger families, better societies, we need to start with men.
Young men.
And the reason why I say start with men is that over the years, so much interest has been put into uplifting women and empowering women, and trust. And I totally support it because they need it. There's a need for women to be empowered. But too far left is right, and we have been empowering women for so long, and we forget what we meant.
Well, I can say this. I want to openly say this, right? Because I understand where you're saying that we have forgotten about the men, and the whole concept has continually been about empowering women, right? And you want now to empower the men. I recently watched a video. I don't know if y'all saw the video where someone sent around where this guy was speaking about black females, alright? And he was speaking about
In America.
Right, in America. And you know, the author of that video, he made some very salient points. Now, I'm sorry that we can't play that here now for the viewers to hear who probably haven't heard it, right? But you know this got something called gentrification of the races, but there's also I don't know if you use the word gentrification, but there's also, in my view, a similar thing that has been done to men, right? And you know, I'll be honest with you, it didn't start 10 years ago. It started probably about 200 years ago, right? Where men have continually given up their rights and given up. I mean, piece by piece by piece, we're being
Keep pushing
chipped
back
away,
the boundary.
right? To the point now we're in society, men are blamed for most of the problems, right? But sometimes when you look at the problems, the men ain't the problems. It's like you spoke about the prison population just now, right?
Are you gonna blame that on a monkey?
No,
understand you.
I'm blaming. No, hold on. You spoke with the prison population. You got 728 men, you said, in prison, right? Right, that'd be for you. Right, that'd be for you. Serious. 728 men. I can guarantee you that 9 times out of 10, or probably 10 times out of 10, the only person that was at the court with these young boys when they were going in to get sentenced and to even when they were appearing for the first time and all that were the mothers. Alright? And so people say, oh, the fathers in there, the fathers don't play the role. Right? A lot of people don't see when the fathers telling these youngsters, listen, behave yourself, and the mothers are telling them, I don't listen, he's an idiot. The mothers cursing the fathers, the mothers condoning the activity of the children at times. And I'm not saying that it happens.
Well, Jeremy, you might be going down too deep before the conversation.
So
I want to hear what men's about first. So let me get our conversation developing. Yeah,
it's true because you don't mention a whole set of issues there, right?
Right.
No, it's things like that. I see that.
But yeah, but I mean that's too early. I want to hear what men's. I want people to understand, and it's important where Fabian is coming from with the opening introduction of men. That men's, which is the Men Empowerment Network support, is not about an argument or a fight with women, but it's about growing the men. I use the men said making men better for women. That's my take on it. Obviously, you're making men better first for themselves, and then the benefits the women will get by us turning our young people into proper men.
Correct.
So, cause we too was demons in ourselves as men coming up, but as we were shaping and formed.
So if you're Ali here saying he ain't too deep at all.
What is that? But we didn't get back there. We didn't get there. So while you praising your own trumpet with your own supporters, I just want to make people understand men first. So let me get Fabian to give you the overview, and then let me bust the bubbles on all the other questions.
What I want to add in terms of what programs do we have do men's have in place?
Well, we are a part of men's.
I'm a part of men too. I feel proud to say I identify with this group.
Yeah, so go ahead, Kwame.
I support Fabian in that we're not a combative group. We're strictly about empowering men. We're providing a network to support men in their causes and their rights and everything that they have to do in life. The world is changing. Yes. Society is changing. And where we found is that men have been stuck on a rut of trying to, one, constantly define themselves, and two, combat against different changes while trying to remain the same. I don't think men's is about that. Men's is about empowering men in today's world. Right? So the programs we have, we're going to be educating men. One of the major problems society has with men is that we could be dying and we ain't going to the doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Our masculinity thing.
Yeah, and we just celebrated the day for prostate cancer, and we've been trying to educate men about the process of it. It's not as scary as it used to be. More importantly, the importance of it, the detriments of not going through it, things like that are men's issues, men's personal issues. Then it comes in network, we're there for each other. If Fabian has an issue, he could call us. We come, we have support groups, we sit down, we have open talks. Actually, we just held a men's talk a couple days ago, very, very interactive session. Basically, you have a moderator, and we just shoot what issues are of the day, issues in society, and men can bring their own issues. But that session in particular is completely confidential, completely private. It's a free space for you to be yourself. No judgment. Safe space. And we don't allow any recording, any cameras, so you're not going to see any social media pictures about that group.
And there's no female as well.
No.
Right, no, which is good because
safe space.
I remember years ago I went to a marriage counseling session, and at that marriage session we were going to get down to brass tacks about marriage seriously, deal with sex, deal with emotion, deal with how you treat your wife or how you treat your husband. But some smart body decided to bring a bunch of children. And obviously when you get in it took away now from what you can say as a man. So when I say obviously there's no female in sessions, because there may be sessions you invite females, but in that the men feel safe talking about men stuff. The men can feel safe to cry about men, and it's confidential like a doctor and a patient. So that's what I mean. Like that's something that's passionate for me. That you have men supporting men in that setting.
That's a very good point. One of the constructs we have is a safe space for all. all men. So therefore, we will engage the women. I think it's important that we do.
Yeah.
We have to get their points of view. We have to see what their issues are, because we all exist in society together, and we together can make the society better.
But their issues are how you may ventilate it.
But still, they may be ventilated by some who have one perspective, another group has another perspective. So if we get women in general to come and say, well, hey, this is what we experience,
Or what we feel.
then we can ventilate those issues among ourselves. And
Yeah.
those sessions will be special sessions in which we will invite. So those will be publicized as, yes, we will be inviting 3 or 4 women or whatever, or it will be a interactive.
But the primary
mixed session.
focus is in
Well,
men.
It's men. Because after that, we learn and we move on.
Kwame, while you're talking, we got a person sent a question here for you and Fabian already.
Yeah, I
Yes,
have a
man.
question. I have a question.
Read the question. Read the question
so,
aloud.
so Simon is asking,
Simon Ali.
Simon Allen is asking, what guidance can you give to men who have challenges with visitation rights?
You should be here, Simon.
Oh,
You should be here,
You
Simon.
get there before me.
So,
But we understand what you can be.
right, so just let me, as you're still in the preliminary stages of MENS, let me explain how we're looking to roll out our programs. And we're looking to be very strategic in how we do stuff.
Okay.
And not be all over the place and let emotion take over our operationalization of our goals and vision and mission. Now we have something what I would call the C approach, where all of our programming is going to be done under 3 main themes.
Okay.
So we have C as in SEA, which is S stands for support. We have the E for education, and A is for advocacy.
Okay.
I think that we as men need to be supported. The support for men is lacking tremendously. So first and foremost, we need to support our brothers, make our brothers feel comfortable, make our brothers feel loved, and make our brothers know that there's a space that they can turn to first. Then we need to educate our brothers, because we are lacking in education in a number of areas. The legal system is one of the greatest challenges that in my time trying to understand where men run into problems with the legal system is the lack of knowledge, the lack of understanding how the legal system operates, and knowing the lackadaisical and the laid back type of personality that a lot of men usually have, then the system appear to not work in their favor.
Which can take to your point, Jermaine, when you asked
right.
before about the prison increase,
Yeah.
and do something to emphasize you female. If a lot more men were educated about their rights in certain situations, maybe some of the mistakes that were made could be
Right.
avoided.
So you're trying to say men to break law smart.
So we're looking at, as I said, support. Then we're educating. I mentioned the judicial system and law, but then there's also health, and health can broken down into many areas. There's mental health, you know, there's physical health, there's emotional health. So we're going to look at health in a holistic way, trying to get men to be more aware of preventative measures, screening or testing early, whether it be for prostate, STIs, whatever, get men back not back, but get men to a position where they do their regular checks and pay a lot more attention to their health. So
Take care of
education,
themselves.
Okay.
education is the foundation to any positive behavior change that you're hoping to find, right? And then, so once we support men, we educate men, then we find ourselves in a better position to advocate on behalf of men.
Will you think
And
that?
advocacy is not a one-man show.
Okay.
If we are going to be MENS, and MENS will stand up for the rights of men, well, MENS have to be educated.
Yep.
So to address Simon's question as to who we could refer him to, we have a cadre of persons, very skilled persons on board. I would direct him to somebody that is more versed in the legal system at this point.
Okay.
But as it relates to us as a general body, we are going through a process where we are building ourselves from ground up. We are not to the point where we want to go out there and hammer hardly issues. Really, our goal is to empower men first. I think once that empowerment reaches a certain level, then we can go there and speak on all the issues. And I must say, that I know that some men are going through some real horrible experiences.
Yep.
You know, I am married. I have 2 sons, 2 years old and 9 years old, and it would devastate me not being able to see my sons when I want to see my children. I will
But
say,
that's a reality for them.
I know, and I will tell you this: some people try to separate the role of the mother and the father, and I can say, with a high degree of commitment and certainty, that I remember from the very first time that my wife would have been, when my son was conceived, I've never missed a doctor appointment. I have never missed, at no point in time, my wife attended a doctor visit without me. It was us that were pregnant.
Oh,
You understand? I've always been there. I've always been there up to delivery, and from then to now, my first son is 9, and the other one is 2. I've always been there. Anybody know me? My children are my heart. I don't slack up. And
you're a family man.
I'm a family man, but I know that there are a lot of men who are similar to me, but who are dealt a different hand and have to deal with the challenges, whether it be through the judicial system or relationships or whatever the case is. And that is where a lot of the challenges come, especially emotional challenges, because people don't understand men are emotionally connected to their children. Yeah.
One of the things that I know that, I just want to be blunt here, is that as men advocate for men, there are going to be the time where, and this is where it's going to be proven to the women, if men's is really about empowering men, it's going to be those times when the men now are going to pose questions which are also going to challenge the females. And
You give an example?
and that for example, if we are going out there and we're saying men don't get to see the children, and that is a known fact. While a lot of people would like to put that into denial, it is a known fact that a lot of men don't get to see their children, as you would have mentioned. But then you may have organizations out there that may challenge it. And I've always found that sometimes people challenge things open-endedly, or with folks saying, oh, they'll just come back and rebut and say, oh, men just get to see the thing, but there's no facts.
Boy,
There's no facts.
That is very educational information.
That is really, that when we say these things, if it's things that got to be done, like via petition. How much men in Barbados don't get to see the children? And when you come out, you can say, by facts, we've had a survey done, and 2,000 men said.
Before you answer,
So I just said there are times, and then when you say that and you can bring the fact, because we know that when you go there, you say that blatantly, women organizations will come out and say, Dan Chu and this organization gender against women. So that's what I'm saying, is that there are going to be times, but once you bring those facts, and it's good to see an organization, and that's why I stretch on the fact of organization and not a group of men, but an organized body that will go there and do the advocacy, the awareness, the education, the research, so that when it speaks, it's not speaking from a place of arrogance or ignorance or not even emotion. Just say, well, oh, a man can't tell me that he don't see children. When women do behavior, ain't that, but there's an organized body that speaks volume to the causes of men, and that is important.
Right.
There's a question. Wait, there's one question.
I actually wanted to read this for purpose because she hit the nail on what was going to
This
ask.
is Sherry.
Yeah, Sherry Ann Eugene Kamabash.
Right.
She said, right now, I'm in court with my husband since 2010 for maintenance money. And up to this day, I haven't received a cent for my daughters. And I go to every court session, and he don't come. So some men don't really care about their children. Now, I want to bring. She brought that example.
Let me hear men's on it first, and then let me hear you, Jermaine. Let me hear men's tape. I want to give short to them for a minute, because they're here for a short time, and then we hear.
This is going to be always a contentious topic, and everybody, men and women, can bring their own personal situation to it. What we are going to refrain from doing is commenting on a situation which we have no knowledge on. She can give her side,
Okay.
but I'm sure that if the man comes up, he gives a different side.
Well, her
So-
side may even be true.
Her side might be the truth, but to be honest, until we have all the facts, it will be irresponsible to make a comment one way or the other. What we can say is that we believe that a family unit, whether the male and female are together or whether the two adults in the family are together, they can still co-parent a child effectively, and there doesn't have to be any contention as long as they're mature about it. So we will not advocate for any man to shy away from his responsibilities as a father. In fact, we're here to encourage, empower, and support men in doing that. However, we're also going to advocate that the legal system be a little bit more lenient and allow men to do so. We're going to advocate that mothers, not through the legal process, but appeal to women to allow men to be fathers, right? Because sometimes, yes, finances play a huge part in raising a child. As fathers, we know that. But also being there for your child emotionally and spiritually. So we're going to refrain previously, regardless of what question comes, from answering personal things, because I'm sure men and women could give individual, as Kibar was saying, we going to say, for you, that man doing bare ignorance. And lo and behold, situation is completely different. I think we've learned in this society to
listen
get
to
all
both
the
sides.
facts first.
And let me, and I want to just let me add to that as well. In terms of this lady situation and other situations too, we acknowledge that there are some men who shirk their responsibility, and that is one of the reasons why MENS came about as well. Because we need to get men, not only in terms of grown men, but from young boys, to understand the responsibility of a father. Now, with that being said, we are looking to roll out a parenting program early next year for fathers. For fathers. So the parenting program, we're looking to roll it out under something called a program called the Solihull Approach to Parenting.
The what?
Solihull, SOLIHULL. You can Google it. It's an internationally accredited program for fathers specifically.
Suppose a single mama comes and says to you, but are you technically the father of this child?
I will tell you this. The program is for fathers. I'm not going to start the issue of who thinks they're a father. It is for men who are fathers or fathers to be. Because we believe that men need to be equipped with the necessary skills needed to be the best father that they can be. Now, this lady speaks specifically about her child father. Now, some men suffer the unfortunate chance of not having a father, not having a role model, somebody who they can look at, and they lack the skills. At the end of the day, we parent based on how we were parented. You get your behind cat, you can cut your children behind because that is what you know. But as society evolves and we learn more, we have to adopt the skills that we learn into our actions. And that's difficult because you can go and learn something, but very difficult to apply it. Now we are trying to get men to a position where we can educate them, but also give them the support where they can go through that process, that behavior change process of putting that information into action. So we are trying to build better fathers. We are trying to give men extra tools. We're not going to tell you to be a parent this way or that way. You have skills. Everybody has skills. What we will be doing is adding to that toolbox.
Any school intervention program as it relates to, because I know that
I would
have been in some preliminary discussions with Tanya from Aganar, and at some point in time, Aganar is a program throughout the schools. If we can engage the boys within the Aganar program, and at some point a mentorship program, probably in a different way, not the mentorship program where everybody know you are connected to somebody and you call them and you talk to them on a regular basis, but a mentorship program where we have probably on a quarterly basis the same a group meeting, and we can have our men in a mentorship type of way talk to these boys.
The father start father.
Exactly. A boy to men talk pretty much on a consistent basis. You know, until we really grow and we can handle, because mentorship, there's a big responsibility when it comes to mentorship programs.
You know, not to cut you, but you know, there are a lot of other organizations in Barbados who have the same mentorship programs, the Rotary.
But not men's mentorship program.
No, but just hear me for a minute. I remember when I was younger, I was enrolled in one such program, right? Someone felt it would be good to give Jeremy some mentoring.
It ain't work.
Right?
What the mentor you in?
It ain't work.
You will know.
That's a question.
No, it was just on life skills and that sort of stuff. It was supposed to be.
They sure help you.
Right. It was supposed to be that. However, I can say this: the person came to me once, right, and the persons never came back. They seemed most, it was a husband and wife team. They seemed most disinterested in the program.
Probably because it was you.
No, it wasn't. No. You can say what you want, right? But the reality situation is, and I often say this, and I am sure that the panel here from MENS will agree, right? When you enter a child's life at a tender age of between 11 to 16, and you say that you are mentoring that child, when you drop the ball, you could hurt that child.
But remember what's about 90 years the 85. and that is what that is why like men's, one of the things for me as somebody that has a huge volunteer corps, I mean they have probably 700 plus people registered as volunteers for me. Doesn't mean that when you call anybody just turn up, or the numbers don't be vast. So one of the things is that when people come to sign up, there's a long 30-minute process of how to become a part of this organization, so that you get a value for that person. And if I say to you, and even to come around the homeless, I say to you, well, if you come, I give you 3 choices. 3 strikes. You see, if you mess up on them, like you don't turn up, you out your door now. So I don't give my clients that time to build with you. And then when they build now, you hurt them and put them back in the position. So that is what may have to, something that they have to look at, is that if you know you're supposed to do, you got to provide that performer at least 80%.
Yeah.
Not as a provide, as a perform. Be that child life, be helping that person. If not, go through the door, because you don't want to waste the person's life.
You see, when we deal with mentorship, we gotta understand we're dealing with personalities.
Yeah.
We're dealing with emotions, and I'm big on emotions because I don't think we spend enough time looking at what we do.
Emotional intelligence.
You understand? We are tangible beings, and we will focus on how good my shirt look, how big my belly is, or how much abs I got, or how big my glasses is, or what shoes I got on. But when it comes to the emotional person,
See, pass all that.
we don't pay attention to it because we can't see it, right?
Okay.
But here's somebody here saying, Fabian, that a lot of this problem arises from the fact that men have a lot of pride.
Well, men got pride because that's a cultural thing.
Is it cultural or is it the makeup of a man?
But it's not just even a man thing.
I mean like
everybody has a pride.
everybody have a measure of pride, but what I'm saying is our job. I feel I would say this with all measures of being boastful. I feel very good as a man, and I think my pride is there that I feel prideful taking care of my family. I feel prideful that I can support them on. So with that level of pride, even though people may see pride as, we hide up behind emotion and things, but I think men are built to be. Funny enough, a young lady was saying to me yesterday, she don't want a man that can't talk to she rough, or and that's not a level of pride, a level of ignorance on her end. But she told that she wanted a man that could stand strong and support. Associate aggression. Yeah, that's right.
Most people will tell you that they may not really want a man that is shy and quiet. They want one that obviously sure that he got pride.
Yeah.
Sure that
like a dog barking.
That's what men
This topic came up in our group. We posted it. We have the general chat and the group chat. It also comes in our group sessions about a vulnerable man, where you have a safe space either with other men or your partner to express your emotions. And funny enough, a lot of men don't. Even from general things that happen to everybody, you had a death in your family, and you don't feel comfortable enough to cry or to grieve in front of people.
But I tell a man though, I mean, when I got issues with my wife, I feel comfortable calling my male friends. I have issues with my wife.
But I will see. You see that. That is one of the things that we speak about. Not allowing men
to express,
to talk.
Yeah.
You see issues. If there is a person out there that is in a relationship and never had issues, I commend them. I would just think that relationship is doomed to fail.
Mm.
Because
Absolutely.
the challenges are what make you stronger.
Stronger, yeah.
But we as a society don't want nobody to know that we just quarrel one another in our relationships. Kwame was saying, want nobody to know that he was probably was,
You don't get no sex. You don't get named. You get shut down.
Everybody, I mean, got this hush mentality. Anybody talk?
Nah,
Privacy
listen. No.
he
What is
makes-
privacy? The difference is, I didn't tell you what he's doing in my bedroom.
Okay.
I said to you, and I
General
think a
issues.
general issue that me and my wife have issue. Me and my wife will quarrel. Me and my wife will say stuff. That is how we are.
Standard.
That's standards across the board. So I'm just saying, based on that, sometimes when I have those issues with my wife, I pick up the phone and call one of men, and I say, look, boy, let me go down, boy, gap, and we sit down on that gap, the chair down inside our gap and eat a burger and talk. And I tell you what crap she do.
You never call me?
And you're married.
That's a very, very good point.
Well,
I don't know where I'm married, man.
I can't talk I can't talk to you.
I'm not even sure.
I want the things that I would advise men to do is to choose your friends wisely.
It's
You see, the men that you're lying with may not be made to give the best advice.
Correct.
You understand? And not that you're trying to diss the man or you don't want to be part of the crew.
But you
But
gotta
they
choose
may
it.
not be the best persons
Correct.
to speak to.
Correct. I
So
agree.
even when we speak about support has to be selected very carefully. You have to select your friends.
selective support.
And you have to know who you are telling certain things to.
I agree.
Because some people can cause a lot more harm
Than
than
good.
good. I mean,
Correct.
sometimes they may got good intentions, but they may not know no better either.
Correct.
Alright?
But and add on to that is we're looking at empowering men.
Yeah.
No, Kimara was saying if he has an issue, he will call one of the men.
What in married men
One
and
of the married men.
and I
But
trust
they're
and respect
also,
too.
We're also socialized, as you said, to be hush hush.
Mhm.
So sometimes you out or you playing a sport or whatever, you realize that one of your friends in themselves. We also have to pattern ourselves as men to say, well, privately as man, everything cool, you know, and be sincere about it. We
Yeah.
have to open that space so that we can talk.
Okay. I
You understand? So that's part of the empowerment because that is not something that's culturally pushed. If somebody say how you doing, them really don't want. You know how you doing.
Well, I say he was married for 20 years, boy. Ooh.
You also said you
Congrats.
shouldn't got issues with your wife.
Huh?
You also said that you should not have issues with your wife.
Wait, say that?
If Waza
I'm
married,
not-
if Waza,
Yeah.
if Waza is married and said that Kimar should have issues with my wife, that means
Listen, to understand the English context, you don't have I don't have an issue with my wife. I have issues
Yeah, but
that
you know,
arise with my
in
wife.
every relationship you have
So
issues.
look at simple thing. My wife don't let me put in my shoes anywhere. That could be an issue because sometimes those put it there. I want it there. And they're like, what you want there? It's a shoe. So again, but it's understanding the makeup of a female. She's cleaning the house. She like things in the order. So again, you have those issues, and then she may do stuff that I don't like. What the one of the things that causes issues is something called the lack of understanding and the lack of understanding each other. Her makeup probably when she was growing up was that they come in and you place your shoes two foot together neatly in the corner. Mine will be look, and it just it off away line. So again, when you have the opposite meeting each other, positive versus opposite, you get a reaction. So sometimes it creates noise, tension, friction. You may call a friend out that say, listen, I don't understand what she call about shoes. And the man say, you don't say, boss,
But
this is the reason, and you understand. So again, it's not that I don't have an issue with my wife. I have issues.
Because and next thing you know, Kimura,
That arises.
although you understand, and both persons understand each other, one of the main thing that's important in a relationship is compromise.
It's compromise.
Because that'll be this compromise that could understand and still didn't care.
Right.
So therefore, they can do what the
But
other
you
person
want
like.
me to show you
and
something
they'll
that's so
compromise.
powerful, right? That about men. That my wife would be quarreling about that shoes, right? And they would never get why she want me to put them two shoes together and put them at the door. But you gonna sit down when you want, you boys, and you sit down, boy, softly, boy. Listen, if we can stop the noise in your family,
Just do it.
you gotta do it. And you go, what? Myself with that man. And every day you come in out that shoes. So that's how powerful a man is when two men connect, you know. Because he can be able to bring it from a perspective and in a certain way that level off you thinking as a man. You think
Iron sharpens
Irish.
So the things that a woman might speak to you and you can't comprehend,
Mhm.
or it can take a while.
Yeah.
But when you boys can say, yeah, and he put it in your language,
Right.
and want to comprehend,
Because
and that's part of the support.
Correct.
That's part of the
That's
networking
what's
that we
awful
do.
about
But
men.
man relate to another man in the way how men relate.
Yeah, because
Because you're not being taught at, you know.
Yeah.
Well, a woman may talk at you, the father talking to you.
Yeah.
So you be like, yeah, I get you.
I want to switch up a little bit
Mhm.
because Kimar, you actually kind of mentioned it while you were there, and I know we have a short time. What I want to know what is men's view on the changing gender roles in society? And when I say changing gender roles, if you look in Barbados today, a lot of the senior positions in terms of employment and things are held by women.
yeah.
Right? And right now, a lot more women are becoming. You don't want to say that they are the more or less the caretakers at home, because a lot of men don't want to feel within themselves like, if my role has been diminished or removed, right? But more likely, a man like me goes out there looking for a woman now, right? The woman more likely making more money than me, right? And
What's the problem?
I don't have a
More
problem.
money?
He would like to know what men's position is on the gender role. He's explaining general terms that he's explaining himself.
And then, as you know, traditionally in a lot of companies,
That we never that girl the other.
Which girl?
You want to make a moment
my personal business ain't going to this and ain't going
You
to.
see, there's one Maze. Do not make you want something like one small input. If you want some place where you can talk about your
safe
issues in a safe space, come to Maze. We meet at the Barbados Family Planning. Check our Facebook page and you will see our meeting.
This is not the safest
You
place.
understand? We have a space you can come and talk about your issues, your woman issues, your relationship issues, your child issues, your emotional issues.
Yeah.
Just come and talk, and
Right,
nobody's
Jermaine.
going to mock you. Nobody will make you
Nah,
feel
but
small.
To your point,
cry.
right? To your point.
Listen,
But
but you know, just know what people say is an invitation for Jermaine because you have some issues.
Invitation for all men.
The gender disparity, it comes from what we were saying before.
But I didn't finish the point.
You would like to?
But let me answer this question and then bring the other question.
All right.
So what we're saying is the world is changing. The roles are evolving, and some of the issues we're having both with younger men
Yeah.
and with the more mature man is that they no longer know what their purpose is. Their purpose was defined in such a rigid manner previously that now things are changing. They cannot adapt because they don't know what their role is. As you said, you can have a woman who is the CEO of a company,
Yeah.
and you just scrape to be a supervisor in your own right.
Yeah.
And obviously she's making more money than you, and she has an issue. She's not putting any pressure on you, but you as yourself starting to feel away. This is where emotional support needs to happen.
You know,
This
we
is
got
where
some
everything.
men, you know, we got some men, and I'm glad you mentioned that point. And I saw someone just logged in, and he's gonna know what I'm talking about.
Who, the money?
No, Will Sworn.
Sorry.
Right? There was a situation where there was a person who was she was in a very senior position, and the husband was only a teacher, right? But she was making a lot of money. Obviously, his salary was very small than hers, right? But he used to beat her, and
Beat her physically?
yeah, beat her physically, because there are some men, and I'm not castigating men, but these are things that do happen in society, where in a bid to maintain dominance, right? There are men who have turned to violence against females. Right, so I mean, when we're talking about men's issues, all these are issues that we have to address.
And let me take that very same example. We're talking about an emotional reaction manifesting into a physical action.
Yeah.
Right? Now, on all scores, we condemn. We condemn domestic violence, right? On either side.
Don't let no hear you say that. Do it here.
He make a correction.
However, if we're going to analyze it, let's take the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Let's analyze what's happening. You have a man that has some insecurity issues and he's reacting. He doesn't know how to handle that emotion. So he's reacting in a physical manner to regain something that he feels he's lost.
Yeah.
Right? So therefore, here's a perfect example of where a men's support group, a men's education group can network with that man and bring him to a common understanding of you're not losing anything because she makes more money than you. Doesn't mean you're less of a man.
True.
This is why you are important. This is why she's important, and this is why together the two of you can come together and make something more
But
important.
for me to add to that, because I think the German question was like more of a far-fetched one for me, is that when you asked about the men, women elevating in larger positions, that was sort of like a more broad-based question, and it was a narrow question down to a relationship. Because really and truly, fact, the women, I see women rising above men in education or in workforces because they're the one going to school, they're the one finishing their education, they're the one applying for the jobs. Sometimes when you check, even when I checked, I remember I was hiring, and when I checked the applications, there were only 2 men, and all the rest were women. And I, without saying it publicly, would have really preferred a male for that position, but the women came, and they came really good in qualified.
But that's what happens from a formal education perspective.
So,
University of West Indies graduates a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
If you ever look and pay attention to those graduations, you see more than 3/4 are women.
It was
You
about
understand?
70%.
70%.
So,
You get a case where, and I've dealt with this personally, where you have a man and a woman in a relationship, get boyfriend or girlfriend, and his upbringing, his education, not formal, but his education is to, as soon as I get a little job at Super Center, I can save up my money and buy a little GT,
a car,
and raise both the place.
Yeah.
Her education
Boots and
is
shoes.
she can save some money, she can go to school. I had a case where a man, same age, was dropping the girl to UE.
Yeah.
And she is getting her degree, and he dropping her and picking her back up, and he ain't doing nothing
And
in
he
his
ain't-
life.
and you
he
can't
has the
blame the
ability,
women for that.
But it's simple socialization and education is how you view yourself.
Yeah.
You understand? So if we provide that, both of them could be going to UE, both of them could be getting an education, or he could be excelling in another interest. He could be going to Samuel Jackman Prescott.
But
A lot of them are technical.
But all it needs for is I deal with it on an everyday.
Guidance.
I deal with men on an everyday basis. The men need. We got something in our organization that is our slogan on our team. We will rebuild your self-esteem. It got so much men with low self-esteem.
Yes.
That the simplest thing gestures we do for men, just rebuild our self-esteem quick. And one of the things is that when we have men, what we realize is that men have something called a lazy mindset. I can't get do, I'm trying. A woman, I can't get do, she can try. Even if she fail trying, she can try. But a lot of men, because words over the time also shoot down a lot of men. The father's not being there, male support not being there. My sister and the vid, well, she feels she better than me now, and that thing, and you got
You see, okay. So we have to dissect a lot of the issues, and sometimes we can't help but jump to the end of the issue, and where we should be addressing it at the beginning. And you see, those first 8 years of life, those what you consider formative years, where personality is pretty much form, identity, who you are, and a child gets to understand. A child is groomed with the environment that they grow up in. So the environment of a child influences their behavior to a large extent, and children learn in many different ways. Now, the environment you provide will lay the foundation. Whether it be that child eventually has a low self-esteem, if that child's behavior is validated, if you show that child support, or if you constantly beat that child and say, shut up, you idiot, you this, you that, and forever pull down that child eventually will have a low self-esteem. So we have to, people usually ask, so where do we start? We have to start with the parents of now to deal with the generation that is coming. We don't neglect the current generation because there's still a lot of work to be done. But if we are supposed to see a shift in behaviors, we have to start educating parents like no. And then understand the various developmental stages that a person goes through. Okay? So we neglect to acknowledge that there are, well, a doctor, a nurse, or you take the child, as the child grows, you're looking at the physical developmental milestones, whereas by a certain age, the child should be doing this. He should be walking, he should be talking, he should be eating. The child should be dressing himself, should be able to button up a shirt or put on a pants. While we're looking at those things, we often neglect those emotional milestones that children would have and don't connect with that emotional side of a child. Now, how many parents would think that their children at a very young age, feel disappointed? At 5. I mean, some parents may not think
when it's 3 and they see it, boy. If you don't be a hug,
I mean,
disappointed, boy.
sometimes they see happy and anger, and they don't see all the in-between emotions that children have. But you know what the challenges are also?
Yeah.
Is that those children do not know what they're feeling. And the fact that they do not know what they are feeling, they're having an emotion, because they're so young and don't know what they're feeling, they don't know how to express
or
that.
to translate their cry.
Or to translate and let you know that I am feeling hurt, or I am feeling, so
you would blame, because then I would like to link this a little bit to
Correct.
the situation in
Exactly.
society with
Exactly.
violence amongst our young men, right? If at the age of 5 you're feeling, as you said, lost, right, and you're feeling hurt, and you don't know exactly what you're feeling, but you know you're feeling something. By the age of 7, 8, they kind of start to get a little understanding, right? But by that time, you're being influenced by influences which are not so good, right? By the age of 12, then you really, as a man, because they say that men develop at a slower rate than women. As a man, as a young boy, by the age of 12, then you really start to develop and you really understand what is going on. Given that you have been so lost from 5 to 12, by the time you get the age of 15, and we are seeing that in Barbados today, a lot of our teenagers, and I can call it, between 16 to 19, we got a lot of youngsters that age range up in prison, right?
Yeah, you see, so you gotta go through all these stages, and not only, and when I speak of the emotional milestones and the developmental milestones, we also have to look at the change in the environment.
Yeah.
Because my 2-year-old is extremely good with the tablet or with the cell phone, and we have to look also at the external influences that we may not pay attention to.
I want to add up, Fabian. That's why it's very important to have both parents. I know majority families only have one parent, right, in the family. And as Kwame would mention, when the family will not be together, I have to be together.
Yeah.
But it must play an important role in the child's life. I give you an example. My daughter's 8, and she got tested when I was at school. She got maths today, and yesterday I had her to do some revision.
Okay.
And when they put the book in front of her, she started crying.
Wait.
So had her mother been dealing with her, it might be different than how I deal with it. So I understand what was going on. I know her. So I called her, give her a hug, and talked to her, asked her what was going on. She told me, and I explained, and I motivated her to do the work. At the end of that evening, she left confident knowing that she's going to be tested there and do the work. Now, if she had a parent, let me say a mother, or even a different father, ain't know how to handle her, and one parent, therefore the child is only left with one parent to get
one option.
Yeah, the option.
One option of mentorship.
Yeah, one option, but she got 2. But I was the one, and I was able to help her. And I called her today, and I made sure this morning I give even prayer with her, make sure she get 3 tests good.
But let me ask you then. Tying in Fabian's point, if you're 4, 5, and you don't have that, you don't know how to process, how to express your emotions, you don't. You go up to where you're at now, 9, 10, 15, 16, you've never had that kind of parent. Now, here's where we try to empower men to be that kind of parent, to be that kind of father, right? And the emotional empowerment for our young men as well, to process their emotions, to process hurt. Because as we can define that in adults, we can define it in children. A hurt process can lead to aggressive reaction, and sometimes, because of how society has been for umpteen years, most of a child's emotion comes through crying or tantrum. Most of our emotions come through aggression.
And it starts from a baby.
And it comes from something as simple as, you want to know why this guy always want to fight. Even among other men, we play basketball and a fella always aggressive, and it could be that, he going through some things in life, and that's the only way he know that somebody can ask you what happened, or that somebody can. There was a movie called Crash. There was a movie called Crash a long time ago.
Crash Bandicoot?
No, it had in.
I watched that movie.
Yeah, with the.
I can't remember who, but I watched the movie.
The rapper that was in Fast Furious. Ludacris. That in Ludacris. And it was said something in there. It was said that was very. I think a lot of people missed it.
A sequence of actions or something.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes we do things just to crash into other people, just to feel something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of these young people, I see that. Now, I'm not in any way wiping over the fact that a lot of aggression, a lot of violence is happening, and we need to address it. But sometimes we shouldn't address it biasly or emotionally. But if we really want to get to the root of the problem, we have to ask the hard questions and be serious about it. Sometimes a lot of these people are crashing into each other just to feel something that they're not feeling anywhere else.
Can I ask a question as about success? We talk about the level from where a child is being developed from that young stage, and you know they say that you learn as a young child, but and you learn by what you see and stuff like that. But when you become a man, it's like those. If you continue the action, it becomes you. It gets big. How do you see, or is there any success as it relates to the men's, the group sessions that you all have been having? Do you find that men seriously want to break free from where they are?
Yes.
Or also have you found that with it that because you're a man, you may be dealing with people that's 70, 50 and 40 and 30 and that set in their ways already. Feel that, my balls big, I eat my man, I turn my walkie.
But they're hurt too.
Yeah, but I mean, even though they're hurt, have you find that they're breaking in terms of being expressive and wanting to change?
Very much. Our sessions are hugely successful. We have our first session, it was hugely successful in numbers and both in interaction. Our last session, that's one that's most memorable in our minds because it just happened, that was a breakthrough. We had a lot of men just openly sharing. We're not going to discuss what we talked about, but the topics of men came out, the deep topics, and it wasn't one or two. All the men shared personal. So we find that if you give them the avenue, they're going to walk through it.
Is there any measuring? Is there any measuring stick that measures that success? For example, I have a farm that I do with the homeless as it relates to suicide. So I'm just using my farm as an example, where it asks them a suicidal question, but the question is asked 30 times. Literally.
Different ways.
So different ways, but it gives me at the end,
I know what you mean,
over a percentage, if that person is suicidal or not. Even though they may say, I may ask, are you suicidal? They say no. Do you have suicidal thoughts? Yes, right? Have you ever attempted suicide? So ask them the question is being. So what I'm saying is, in your session, because one of the things I could predict. One of the things I could predict as it go forward is that MENS, the organization itself, could be the arm tied to the court. When it's tied to the court, I like to take future, I like to take big or go home. That is tied to the court, that if a man have been coming to sessions at MENS and you have assessed him, his work through, and perception of the out there of the girlfriend or perception of society, there's a madman here. But through the sessions, using formulas, whatever, you find that he's more stable. He just doesn't have a way to control his anger, but he can control it now through the support. And it's called for that. Are he going to court for one reason or the other, whether it be child support, and his court say he's unstable to keep the child, or whatever, that MENS could issue the court with proof and evidence to the fact that this person, they came in at a negative 19, at this level they are positive 10.
Or reverse.
Court
can refer
to men. So both ways. I like to think this. I don't want a question to go too far. Give your question and show your answer.
I want to ask another question with it as well.
No, I mean, let me answer one.
No, it's a question time.
No, let me answer one first, Jeremy. Go ahead, Fabian.
We do a part B.
Go ahead, Fabian.
Let me get your answer.
Good. So
we're many patients.
So the N in MENS stands for network, and MENS will not be able to do it all, and that is the reality. And I love your suggestion. I would hope that at some point we can assist the courts in any way. But I know that there are other social services out there who are also working with men as well. Okay.
But always remember, not in this way you were.
Right, understand me. I'm talking specifically in relation to the court system, right? Well, I do think that we can have
positive impact.
a positive impact on those persons within the court system. If the court want to recommend someone to come to our sessions, but we are now developing, and we have to remain focused. We cannot bite off more than we can chew at this time, and probably as we develop, that is something we probably can look
That
at.
was is
But we would like to. I think,
Long-term
and it is a
long-term.
very good idea, right? But at this point, men's is about empowerment, and empowerment meaning moving men from the position that where they are at to a better place.
But let me add direct to Fabian, and speaking from a
and let me sometimes I add to because I forget part of the question. So you spoke about the tests that you would have done and so forth, right? Now that is where our you talk about suicidal and so forth.
Yeah,
that is where our support group come in. So we are going to be rolling out a support group at the beginning of next year, where those persons can come. Now, in terms of monitoring and evaluating and seeing the success, now those persons will be allowed to set their own personal goals, and as they move through the objectives of participating in the group, and as they move through that process, that support process, then they're able to gauge how far they would have come. All right, and they'll be tied to confidentiality contracts and all those things, you know. So we will be building systems within the system to monitor progress and monitor and measure how persons are moving
the
forward.
reason why I say all of what I said is that I find that as a person that does a lot of organizational development for a lot of companies here, I find that as we start to help people, you find that your help pushes you. So let's say you have 5 years before you start looking at the court system to help men in terms of giving the court information to say this man is stable, more stable than you think. Or when people come to you with problems or come to you with issues or come to you where they are, in this field of work that we're looking at, where we're talking about supporting people and helping people, it pushes you 5 years ahead, 2 days faster. Because, for example, when we dealt with homelessness, we didn't look at homelessness from the standpoint of no shelter. We look at homelessness from the standpoint of rehabilitation, reintegration, and a number of other programs. But the number one problem to homelessness was not having a shelter. So, well, that was not on your agenda, no. It forced us to say, hey, whatever we do, it got beyond this 10-year plan coming to fruition in 1 year. Because if not, we gonna got 500-600 of this problem you have to deal with. So while you deal with people, you're gonna find that your common problem there, your common problem, when you find it, well, it may be a 5-year plan, you're gonna address it, because you may find, like for example, where they said, why are men not supporting children? For example, let's just give an example. Somebody may say, well, I know that my child. Somehow now you go fast track through the court, or you go do a more advocating to say men should be given free DNA testing so that they could decide if they're their child, so they could support it. Well, that may be 10 years down the road.
It may be a consideration.
It may be a consideration because your number one problem for men not supporting children is because they don't know if the child is theirs.
But at least we forget, MENS is a dynamic, evolving organization. So where we are right now is not where we will be in a week from now, in a month from now. We have a structure, we have a plan. But even if when you were 16 and you had a plan of when I leave school I get to this college and then I'm going to be in this job, things adapt and you change. So MENS will do that. MENS will change, MENS will adapt. We have a very eager executive that will take everything into consideration, and sometimes we may need to alter our plan.
Right.
We might have intended in 6 months to return in right, but because of the dynamic environment that we're in, we might need to turn left first, then to get back right.
Correct.
So we'll always be able to process the evolving changes in society, the evolving man, because the evolving emotional man needs to be considered.
Right.
So all that we take into
And as you
consideration.
deal with your advocacy, because advocacy is a very strong part. I mean, I get called literally for every homeless kid. and that is because you position yourself. And I'm extremely glad to see that there's an organization, because we know that there's an organization for female that speaks very frankly for females, and I think that it is about time that we have a serious organization. And well, Fabian may have said that I have an organization out there that doing things. I'm still yet to, I'm thinking personally, still yet to see an organization at the front representing men, especially the way it should. And I'm not talking about one man speaking for both men. Well, that may be effective in its own regard. It's about time that we see an uprising of men in support of men in support of the issues that men find, and men in support of advocating for the rights of men, and advocating that, while we are prideful human beings, while we are strong human beings, at the same time we still cut and bleed the same way as a female. Well, we are not the same makeup as a female. At the end of the day, we are human beings, and we would like to be taken.
What I would ask is, Kimari just mentioned that there are other men's groups out there. What I would ask to the men's group here, what in going forward, are you willing to collaborate with other men's groups, other female groups, other church groups?
Of course. Again,
networking.
that's the reason for the in men's, networking. I work with groups. We work with the men's committee. They're the ones who are putting on and pretty much championing that whole thing surrounding paternity leave.
Yeah.
We have discussions all across Barbados. I sit on their panels. I work with them.
Men's committees who?
Pardon me?
You say you work with men's committee.
The men's committee, which is headed by Hartley Dutton. Mr. Hartley Dutton. And that has the support of the Bureau of Gender Affairs and the National Interview Commission.
Okay.
I sit on their panels as it relates to the paternity leave. I have done sessions for the men's groups within polyclinics. I've done sessions for men's fellowships within church.
Okay.
So we are working with these men. The only thing is that a lot of these older men are organized.
Okay.
We are trying to reach those unstructured men, pretty much, all the younger men that are there, who may have challenges, really identify with a particular body or group. We want them to know, look, we have a space. A lot of those groups are established, and they socialize in their own way, and they know where to turn to. But a lot of the younger guys do not know where to turn to. They do not know a safe space. Men that they can go to and credit and don't feel less of a man.
Well, the only question I wanted to ask,
last question.
Men's, as it currently is constructed, y'all y'all are partnered with psychologists or psychiatrists or any social workers?
Well, I'm a social worker. We do have Ralph Hercules is a social worker. He's within the group. We have Tony Orton, who's part of the group, and we have a lot of he deals with emotional intelligence. Dr. Anthony Cummings. So our skill set, we have a wide skill set.
Under the BFPA.
Okay.
And we must.
We've
got to thank the BFPA.
Tell us again, Fabian and Kwame, where, when, and how men could get involved in the last couple of minutes if they want to call, if they want to come.
So the phone number that you can reach us at is 826-0615. That probably can put to the page, as well as the link.
Again?
826-0615. The money probably can post the direct link to the page.
To our Facebook page.
Our Facebook page.
Kwame can mention about the Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah. So we have
a very vibrant Facebook page and Instagram page. What I will do is I will post the links to those in the chat as well. But all of our programs, our packages, our whatever's going on with men's, we posted to those, will be circulated widely, as well as we're hoping that we'll be able to use this form as well.
Yes,
to pass on any information, shoot you guys a flyer or whatever. But we are going to be out there, we're going to be present, we're going to be relevant, we're going to maintain the pulse of the people, the pulse of men, and in a radical way we're going to be changing what's happening in Barbados.
But for some of the viewers, just say the name of the Instagram page and also the name of the Facebook page.
The name of the Instagram page, well, both of them are called Men's Empowerment Network Support, and you type those in, you'll find Those both here, the logo will be an immediate
That's men's with what he calls
Is it
capital M's,
capital, or you
just
want it
dots.
formal.
Yes.
Is capital M, full stop, capital E, full stop, capital N, full stop, capital S, full stop, and then empowerment, network support.
Okay.
That will be on both pages, the Instagram and the Facebook. We encourage everybody to like, join up, share, because there's going to be a lot of things shooting through those.
Correct.
Yes, any person interested.
And anybody can just turn up to the meetings, or
Yeah, you can come to the meetings.
Yes,
we,
anybody.
we have the again.
What's the number?
We have the
A2.
the main stop.
Fabian,
That we have
the number
Sorry, the number is 826
is the new number.
0615.
0615.
Right. So we would have our main start here. We don't have a set agenda really. We may just come out and just start. Those are we're going to have those twice a month. We're going to release those dates shortly. I'll put them on our Facebook page so that can come out. But for each meeting, we usually advertise it heavily so persons will know when to come out to the group. And then when the support group starts next year,
In earnest, the formal support.
the formal support group
We're running sessions.
and the parenting group for fathers, those things are going to be put out there. People will know what's
Okay.
happening. You know,
Alright.
we're trying to really utilize the media as much as possible.
What events do men's have coming up, or what events coming up that men's will be at? Let the other viewers know.
Well, immediately tomorrow, there's going to be an official launch of the men's organization. There's going to be, we're going to have a media launch. We're going to be basically announcing to the world who we are and why we're here, what we're here to do. It's going to be at the Barbados Family Planning Association, and it's basically a media launch. Basically, we're just inviting all media to get who we are out there, so that people know there's an avenue to turn to.
And also,
10 a.m.
our men's will be next week, Tuesday, the 19th of November is going to be International Men's Day.
Yeah.
We will celebrate with the Heart and Stroke Foundation with a panel discussion. Which
That's
is
the
going
thanks
to
to
be,
the Heart and Stroke
yeah,
Foundation.
I'm going to thank the Heart and Stroke Foundation. And that is going to be at the museum. Asking persons to get there for 6:30. The panelists would be Dr. Kenneth Connell, Mr. Eric Connolly, Mr. Lennox Rochester, who's head of the occupational therapy, and myself, Fabian Sargeant. So we have a good panel, and we're going to have a very good discussion. And discussion is going to look at men's risk in 2020, sexuality, suicide, and sudden death.
Interesting.
Okay?
topic.
Men's risk in 2020.
Send us the flyer and
sexuality,
You said next week Tuesday at 6:30 at museum.
Yeah.
Okay.
please send us the flyers, guys, so we can I can post them on there. So I want to thank President and Founder of MENS, Men Education Network Support.
Men
Empowerment Network Support.
Support.
Sorry, Mr. Fabian Sargeant Kwame Bradshaw, who is the PRO. We want to thank the gentlemen for coming. We definitely got to bring you guys back for a much bigger show, because our viewers are now popping up. And also we've been steady with a number of viewers that are really interested in the thing. The discussion has been heavily going. But I want to thank you again, listening all the way from watching all the way from England. So I want to thank Simon Allen as well, and Alicia Barrow, and was Go, and all those guys that keep us going constantly. They're watching us, and Sophie Allen. So Sophie Allen said she thoroughly enjoyed it. We're glad you did. Remember to tune in again this Saturday coming, and we will have Mr. Kwame Holder, because we're talking about men's week. So we are trying to bring in the men discussion, or based on by birth. Okay, was so definitely want to thank you both, two guys, for coming in. Let us know again when you want to be back, because we think these are discussions that needs to be continuous, not just one-off. And it was a good way to come away from politics. For a little while.
Thank the DeBrief show for having us.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Anytime, and maybe we can even target on specific topics that are coming up with men's and stuff, so we can focus on what the people want to hear.
No problem. Everyone, have a good night until Saturday at 6 o'clock. Stay tuned to the debrief. Myself, Keith Marshall, again, want to say good night. Co-host then with me is Mr.
German Bedford.
Sorry,
Objective.
and the man is small. Have a good night, everyone.